Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another Monday Night Live. My name is Laura Betts. I am better known as the Oxygen Lady, and I'm here to talk about a common topic, one of the most frequently asked questions we receive. And by the end of this, you'll be armed with some knowledge and information, and dare I say, maybe even a little inconvenient for the fraudsters. So sit back. I'm going to give you a lot of actionable information to arm you, to empower you so that you can choose the best hyperbaric oxygen therapy for you. So again, welcome, welcome. We do these every Monday, and we have quite a wide variety of topics that we have built up. And tonight's topic, I'm going to do a deep dive into how much is a hyperbaric session and give you a little bit of a warning about dives when they're too cheap. To some extent, you do get what you pay for. And when the dives start to get too cheap, well, I will tell you that there are reasons why they're doing that. Um, I'll give you some breakdown on all of this there. So we'll just keep going on the topic. So we do these every Monday, and we have quite a wide variety of topics there for you. And the purpose of these is to empower you, give you information. If you are one of my fellow ANDI certified hyperbaric facilities that are listening to this, if you're a diver at another ANDI hyperbaric facility, again, welcome everyone. It's great to share information with you. So our videos, just as a heads up. So last week we did a topic on can you do hyperbaric oxygen therapy with a pacemaker? And I did a deep dive into pacemaker. Our videos, Facebook only holds them for a short period of time, so you can find our full archive on our YouTube channel, Hyperbarics RX. And again, I encourage you to check that out. As always, it's great to share information with you. For those of you that may be listening to this for the first time or catching it on the replay, I am founder and facility director of Hyperbarics RX. We're located down here in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, but we do telehealth all over the world. And my personal hyperbaric story, what got me into hyperbaric oxygen therapy, how a tumor in my right breast that was larger than a golf ball essentially went away with hyperbaric oxygen therapy. My story is another one of the videos that are up there, and I encourage you to check it out. Now, Hyperbarics RX is a very special facility. We're the first and only holistic hyperbaric center of its kind, but we're also South Florida, one of South Florida's oldest hyperbaric facilities. And I'm going to talk a little bit that in some detail tonight. So let me go ahead and get into our topic. Now, again, pricing is very often an uncomfortable question. We get calls here all the time, and one of the first questions that people ask is, how much is a hyperbaric session? And one of the reasons why they're asking that is because you don't have any other questions to ask. So by the end of this video, I'm going to point out some very important topics, some very important areas of emphasis that you want to make sure when you're choosing a hyperbaric facility that these things are in play. The hyperbaric industry is growing much, much faster than some of the education and enforcement can catch up with it. And unfortunately, when you have growth in this manner, and this is similar to something that happened in the scuba diving industry about 20 years ago, maybe a little bit more than that now. So I've had the opportunity to see the results of this. And unfortunately, when there are disconnects on information, disconnects on training, disconnects on proper protocol, disconnects on just essentially what it takes to do it right, people die. And as a ANDI certified hyperbaric facility, as of the time of this video, ANDI certified hyperbaric facilities have a perfect safety record. So we're talking about over 35 years, perfect safety in over 60 countries. There's never been an incident or accident in an ANDI dive training program. There's never been an incident or accident at an ANDI certified diving facility, and there's never been an incident or accident at an ANDI certified hyperbaric facility. And there's a lot of reasons behind the scenes for that. And when someone is calling and talking about price, one of the problems is you're not necessarily comparing apples to apples. If you were comparing the same service to another service, then you might be able to make a price comparison. But unfortunately, what's happening in the industries is proper ANDI certified facilities like ours, facilities like Hyperbarics RX, are being compared to essentially untrained, uncertified, utilizing not even the same equipment. In fact, many of the times these facilities, they're not even doing hyperbaric oxygen therapy because of some reasons. The O, hyperbaric oxygen, the O in the HBOT, well, they're not actually administering oxygen right, and the person ends up ending the hyperbaric session with a proportional less level of oxygen when they started. They're actually displacing the oxygen out of the tissues. They're displacing normal oxygen saturation levels. And I'm pretty passionate about this because, as I shared with you when I started, I'm alive because of hyperbaric medicine. I am a world record holder mixed gas diver. I set a woman's world record when I was 17. And it was really an amazing thing. And if somebody would have said that I'd be sitting here in a holistic hyperbaric center, in fact, the first and only holistic hyperbaric center of its kind, I'm not sure I would have believed it 35 years ago. But here we are today. So again, welcome, welcome. And by the end of this video, you're going to be armed with knowledge. You're going to have some really solid information in order to make informed decisions. All right. Now, let me start off with a little terminology for you on this deep dive. So everything we know about modern hyperbaric medicine comes from treating scuba diving injuries. So there is an inherent dive lingo. There are scuba diving foundations to hyperbaric medicine. And a dive is the term that we use for a hyperbaric session here at your ANDI certified hyperbaric facility. So when we're talking about a dive, we're not talking about going in the water. We're not talking about getting wet. We're talking about a hyperbaric session, which in a ANDI facility like ours, because of our scuba diving roots, because of our scuba diving foundation, we reference it as a dive. And believe it or not, there are some hyperbaric chambers where the gauges on those chambers actually read in feet of seawater or meters of seawater. There's a long history here in hyperbaric medicine. So starting off there with just a little terminology for you on it. Now, Hyperbarics RX, as I have shared with you, we are an ANDI certified hyperbaric facility. We're also an ANDI certified training and research site. And one of the things that we do here is we do full hyperbaric sessions. So one of the first things to consider when you're comparing hyperbaric sessions is how long is the session actually? Usually these are based on time. It is a somewhat time-based service. And I've done other videos where I talk about how some of these switches, these mechanisms of action in our body, they're only on at the target pressure. So when the session is not of an adequate treatment time, not just run time, treatment time, there is lack of opportunity for efficacy. Now, I've done a deep dive on a prior video talking at length about the differences between run time versus treatment time. But the simple point here is when your doctor has prescribed an hour-long hyperbaric session, what that means is an hour at the target dosage. The time it takes for the pressure to build in the chamber and the time it takes for the pressure to come down, those are considered additional. Now, technically, you are likely receiving some benefit throughout the entire hyperbaric session, but in regards to hyperbaric medicine, in regards to the protocol that your doctor prescribed or the treatment protocol that's being duplicated, treatment time, the amount of time spent at target pressure is not the same thing. So again, what are we comparing to? Here at Hyperbarics RX, our standard session is 75 to 90 minutes, and our extended session, our multi-level protocol, what we call extra considerations, that session could be as long as 120 minutes. So these are longer sessions, and it's intentional, and depending on the protocol, the time matter. So the first thing to be aware of with cheap hyperbaric sessions is very often they're short hyperbaric sessions. And again, that limits the opportunity for efficacy. It poses some problems. Now, another thing to consider when choosing a hyperbaric facility and comparing prices is the lack of or inferior fire protection. Now, hyperbaric facilities are fall under something called NFP 99. That's National Fire Protection Association. 99 is code for healthcare facilities. And NFPA 99, Chapter 14, is its own section for hyperbaric facilities. Now, again, the modality is growing faster than some of the education and some of the enforcement. And in fact, some sites specifically bypass the NFPA 99 requirements by saying that they're not using any oxygen. They specifically are not using a medical grade oxygen source. Well, again, the O in the HBOT is oxygen. And while air does have a little bit of oxygen in it, 0.21 is not the same as 1.00. 100% is not the same as 21%. So big issue on lack of fire protection. A proper hyperbaric facility, a sprinkler system is required. Monitoring of fire protection is required. Here at Hyperbarics RX, we have a wet pipe sprinkler system as required by code on our dive floor and our equipment room. We also have 24/7 automatically monitored fire protection. And fire protection is expensive. The infrastructure costs are very high. It costs money to put it in, a lot. It also requires maintenance and annual inspection on top of monthly fees that are associated with it. Now, that fire protection is to ensure safety. And while here at ANDI Hyperbaric Facility, so far, so good, 35 years, no problem. But code requires proper system, and the monthly maintenance costs, the maintenance costs that are associated with that, I will tell you as a facility director, it's pricey. So when the sessions are getting cheap, there is nothing in there to pay for the installation and ongoing maintenance of the fire protection system. Dare I say, there are many, many sites that do not have proper fire protection, and it's not that it wasn't required, it was that the municipality was not educated about this. A lot of times they don't look, but when they look, there is an awful lot of very specific fire code that proper facilities like ANDI certified facilities like Hyperbarics RX are required to comply with. So big piece there, big part of the whole thing that goes along with it. Now, some of the other considerations that go are the type of equipment. Now, here at Hyperbarics RX, you'll see behind me, this is a hard-sided hyperbaric chamber, and it's not just a hard-sided hyperbaric chamber. It is a hard-sided hyperbaric chamber that holds PVHO ASME. PVHO ASME, it stands for Pressure Vessel for Human Occupancy. ASME stands for American Society of Mechanical Engineering. PVHO ASME is the safety standard to which the chamber must be manufactured. It is extensive, it is specific, and the purpose of PVHO ASME means the chamber cannot catastrophically fail. And the reason why that's so important is If a hyperbaric chamber were to catastrophically fail, not leak, catastrophically fail from even a very, very low pressure, and the person was inhaling at the same time this happened, it is likely fatal. It causes pulmonary barotrauma. It is extreme. So the whole point of a PVHO ASME certified chamber is the safety standard that comes along with it. It's been designed and engineered to be unable to catastrophically fail. It's also got all sorts of other fire considerations like shielded electronics and overpressure relief valves. There's an awful lot to a PVHO ASME certified chamber. Now, one of the things that is happening in America is they are allowing chambers coming out of China into the country. So it used to be a discussion about hard chamber or soft chamber. And unfortunately, that is not the case anymore. Now, it's not just hard chamber, it's does the hard chamber have PVHO ASME? These chambers that are coming into the country and how they're getting into the country is a question that I don't even quite fully understand. But the point on this is these chambers have not been safety tested. These chambers have not been cycle tested. There is no way of knowing how they perform. There is no way of knowing when they fail. And I can tell you, I have colleagues that are engineers. They are high pressure gas systems engineers. Many of them build hyperbaric chambers for a living. And every single one of them is looking at these chambers and saying the windows are too thin, the door ports with these big giant plexiglass openings on it. There is no way that that's meeting pressure vessel safety testing. There's no way that that's meeting safety standard. And again, the issue for you is your life, your safety. You need to take an active role in your health and wellness. You need to take responsibility for your safety. You cannot assume that just because the chamber is a hard chamber, that it has PVHO ASME. And I will tell you that PVHO ASME certified chambers, right now, they are exponentially higher. It costs a lot of money to have a properly rated, properly certified, properly tested chamber that's gone through the regulatory process along with all of the regulatory fees. They are, in some cases, 4, 5, 6 times the price of these other products that are on the market. And if we're comparing it to a soft-sided system, even more than that. I will tell you that I would love to be able to fill my facility with low-cost chambers, but the safety is not worth it. The ANDI certification is not worth it. I need to have trust and confidence in the product, and PVHO ASME is a safety standard. I have no problem using equipment that's been engineered, designed, and tested to be unable to catastrophically fail. It's important, and it's part of the reason why ANDI has its long safety record across so many countries. Again, up until a few years ago, there was no such thing as a hard chamber that did not have PVHO ASME outside of a home-built system. Now we have production models entering the country, and I will tell you, they do not meet spec. These units are unsafe. There has been accidents, there have been failures, there have been deaths, and more are coming. So again, there's a reason why the chambers, the sessions are so cheap, and be aware. All right, so let's talk a little bit more about other things that we can come into. Now, I mentioned Hyperbarics RX is an ANDI training and research site. Not only do we have certified staff, but we have people come here from all over the world to learn how to use hyperbaric chambers effectively, to become educated. We have medical professionals, doctors, certified chamber operators, and we're also a research site, meaning that we have multiple research projects that are going on here. We were involved in the creation of some of the ANDI protocols, and it is an ongoing honor to be a part of all of this. So we have cutting edge information, we have the latest data, we have the most current protocols, and we are actively working in the industry as new information is published, as new data comes. Along that line, all of our chambers are run by certified hyperbaric chamber operators. So in addition to medical certifications, they have product-specific training and certification. They are ANDI certified chamber operators, and it's a big difference. And the ANDI program, it does meet the CFRs, it does meet for medical devices, it's required to have product-specific training and certification. That's actually a federal regulation. So the ANDI program does comply with the CFRs. And here on our dive floor, we have 3 different makes and models. Now, we have a total of 5 PVHO ASME monoplace, one-person hyperbaric chambers. But we have 3 different models across those 5 individual units. So our lead chamber operators on the floor, they don't just hold one ANDI certification, they are product-specific trained and certified for all of the different models that they have here. And there's a lot more that goes with that. So it's a really big deal. And keep in mind that right now, there is no enforcement. The hyperbaric industry has had this problem for a really long time. So many sites, they have no training, they have no accreditation, they have no affiliation. And that proves to be quite a problem. And unfortunately, what it ultimately translates to is a lack of efficacy. Now, I mentioned a little earlier, I touched on this, that they're not using oxygen. So you cannot assume, and I understand how crazy this sounds, but welcome to hyperbaric. I joke sometimes in the training programs that I teach for the ANDI organization that the hyperbaric industry has a lousy reputation. It's working very hard to earn, and this is a really good example of it. Now, oxygen has very specific fire codes associated with it. I talked a little bit earlier about NFPA 99 code for healthcare facilities. So one of the ways of getting around not having to have a sprinkler system, and one of the ways of getting around not having to have full fire protection with remote monitoring and strobes and sirens in every room and all of the other criteria and requirements that comes along with proper fire protection. So in order to not require that, in order to essentially not be subject to that code criteria, they just don't use any oxygen. And the argument is that they're just using air, so they don't need to comply with any of those regulations. Now, I'm not sure I agree with that, but the fact of the matter is the O in the HBOT is hyperbaric oxygen. If we are not increasing the partial pressure of oxygen, we are not engaging the mechanisms of action that hyperbaric does. So for example, the anti-inflammatory effect. I did a whole video on that talking about how does HBOT reduce inflammation. Well, the anti-inflammatory mechanism is totally dosage dependent. It's completely based on the partial pressure of oxygen. And when we are trying to reduce more inflammation, it's very common for the script to be a much higher partial pressure of oxygen in order to reduce inflammation. Concussion protocol, as an example, is not the same thing as neurological repair. When we're trying to halt inflammation from the initial injury, it's a completely different thing than when we're trying to restore cerebral metabolism and get neurogenesis. And again, that's another reason to be a member of an ANDI certified hyperbaric, to to do your hyperbaric at an ANDI certified hyperbaric facility, or be a member of an ANDI hyperbaric facility if you're a professional that are listening to this. Now, just to give you some terminology here, BIB stands for built-in breathing system. If the chamber is filled with air, the oxygen has to be delivered by some kind of built-in breathing system. And different chambers have different BIBs capability, and the BIBs needs to be supplying respiratory minute volume. So respiratory minute volume is the flow, the amount of oxygen that's being delivered to the built-in breathing system. So again, you could have the best equipment in the world, you could have the most beautiful chambers in the world, but if the operator is not properly trained, if they're not properly certified, if they don't know how to use this very specific equipment, they may not be delivering dosage. And when we're not delivering dosage, we are not creating an opportunity for efficacy. Healing is subtle. From the time the chemical reaction is engaged to start the angiogenesis, to start the healing, till the time the cell has been completely formed, until that's been regenerated, there's a delayed reaction there. So if the dosage isn't right in the beginning of the protocol, by the time the person realizes that it was off, they probably completed multiple blocks of hyperbaric. And a lot of times they get the story, oh, well, I don't know why it didn't work for you. Which brings us to another difference: lack of experience, lack of protocols. A lot of sites, they dive everybody at the exact same dosage. I've done videos where I talk about the dosage dependent mechanisms, and depending on what the chief complaint is, depending on what the goal of the outcome for the therapy is, the dosage really matters. Here at Hyperbarics RX, we do personalized dive plans. We're using ANDI protocols. Where did these procedures come from? Did they just make it up? In my professional experience as an instructor and as a site inspector, I am seeing some of the wackiest things. And who told you to do that? Where'd you get that from? And, it's some obscure piece of information they heard from a friend of a friend. It's not a safety standard. It's not based in hyperbaric medicine. Someone just made it up. And unfortunately, are you the one that's in the chamber being subjected to their false information? Now, Hyperbarics RX, we are one of the oldest hyperbaric facilities in South Florida. We were founded in 1999. And we are extremely experienced. Again, we're not just a hyperbaric facility. We are a training site and a research site. We're always doing training here. We're always on our toes. And because we're doing active research, we're constantly reevaluating our dosage, constantly reevaluating our equipment, making sure that we are delivering what's necessary for the research model. So we're documenting that. So big difference there with it. And it matters. Again, the hyperbaric industry is growing very, very quickly. And unfortunately, a lot of what's happening is about the business of wellness and has no interest in efficacy or outcome. Another point that I want to make about cheap hyperbaric sessions: who's paying for the maintenance of the equipment? Hyperbaric equipment requires maintenance, cleaning and disinfecting after each dive. There are daily procedures, there are weekly procedures, there are monthly procedures, in addition to annual preventive maintenance. So my comment on this is, when the sessions are so cheap, where is the extra money? Where is leftover profit to pay for equipment maintenance? And I will tell you, as a certified hyperbaric technician instructor, I am trained to service certain types of hyperbaric equipment. And I've done field installations with the engineering team. And part of my experience when I first transitioned from diving medicine to hyperbaric medicine was doing system installations. And the equipment requires maintenance. It requires a lot of it. So here at Hyperbarics RX, we happen to benefit from having a certified hyperbaric technician instructor on site, in addition to the technicians we bring in to give me a hand. I can't do everything, but it matters. It makes a difference. Again, a lot of times when these sessions are getting very cheap, where's the extra to cover the costs associated with properly maintaining the equipment? And this is not something that's just a problem in a freestanding facility. In the service technician program, I have pictures of a chamber that's in a hospital that has a green tag on it that says no preventive maintenance is required. Basically, it only requires maintenance if it breaks. And this was in a hospital. That is not the way it's supposed to be. The lack of maintenance is a really, really big issue. And improperly maintained equipment, that's how accidents happen. That's how people get hurt. That's how people have negative hyperbaric experiences. That's how the persons running the chamber end up with problems that they didn't expect, that they weren't trained for. It matters an awful lot. Now, another point that I want to talk about is to be aware of the volume model. Now, again, a facility is a business, and the business needs to be run properly. And when the business is run properly, there is opportunity, I feel, where you don't have to compromise. We are very interested in efficacy here. We are a research site. We're feeding back numbers real time. And our research numbers, as a site that has some of the highest efficacy in the world, it's important to us that our cases make improvements. It's not just about number of dives. And unfortunately, what's happened with the venture capitalist volume wellness model, it has nothing to do with helping people. It has nothing to do with getting people their life back. It has nothing to do with reducing symptoms. It is simply about fill the chambers. And I've had conversations with different groups in one opportunity or another. I get people that want me to be a consultant, and I probably decline more consulting offers than I take, simply because I'm not going to help them do something that I don't really align with. And the model is volume. Oh, well, can we cut the sessions down to 45 minutes? Well, an hour plus 15 minutes to come up to pressure, 15 minutes to come down. And then you need time to load them into the system. And then you need to clean and prep the system for the next diver after they're done. Well, can't we just cut some of that off? Can't we shorten that? Can't we make that less? What can we do? Volume, volume, volume. Bodies in the chamber, bodies in the chamber. It's a very, very different perspective. They don't care. And the entire thing is running on a risk management protocol, a risk management profile. So the idea is, how close to the edge can we get? And if we get nailed, what would it cost us? Again, it's really unfortunate. And the volume model, and again, I'm not anti-business. Hyperbaric oxygen therapy has taken very good care of me. It's how I've made my living for over 3 decades. So this isn't a criticism about a profitable facility. You can't do work for veterans and offer services to people that can't afford it if there's no money left over at the end of the day. So we're very, very blessed here. And we've been able to, again, we're one of South Florida's oldest hyperbaric facility. But this volume model, it has no interest in outcome. The business model itself, love it or hate it, it's bodies in the chamber. It's about volume of services. The more you can get in, the better. They're not like Hyperbarics RX, where some of our clients have been coming to us for decades, and it's been a tool in keeping their health moving forward naturally for many, many years. So again, those volume models are something to be mindful. I will also add that the vent cap companies behind these models, I have had conversations with these groups, and they knowingly admit that they are under treating. I've made comments about protocols saying, well, the ANDI protocol for this indication is this, the ANDI protocol for this indication is that. You're treating everybody at a disproportionately low partial pressure, assuming they're using any oxygen at all. And this comment was made. Oh, yeah, okay. Well, they'll just need more sessions. I completely disagree with that. And it's medically false. Some of the switches, and again, I've talked about this, some of the switches are highly dosage dependent. So if we're not being treated at the right dosage, we may never be creating an opportunity for efficacy. And I'll give you a good example. Hyperbaric is used for very serious infections. And these infections, there are very specific mechanisms that are caused by the high partial pressure of oxygen, and the dosage plays a major role. Treating an infection is a completely different protocol than, for example, neurological repair. And the bactericidal mechanism, I've actually done a whole video talking about hyperbaric oxygen therapy, bactericidal mechanisms. But just to touch on this for the purpose of this video today, if you do not reach the partial pressure of oxygen, you're never engaging the bactericidal kill switch. So there's nothing to kill the bad guys. We may be getting a little bit of support for the immune system at a lower dosage, but that's not the point. And as an example, you undertreat an infection and they'll just die forever and ever and ever, and they'll never see any results. And unfortunately, a lot of cases when somebody is paying out of pocket because they're using an off-label indication for hyperbaric oxygen therapy, it really, really matters. Again, I'm sensitive to this. I hear all the time people that are in a similar situation where they're moving through some kind of cancer journey, they're dealing with a tumor, and they're grossly undertreating. And my miracle, my story was a dosage dependent result. If I was treating too low, I don't know the results I would have achieved. It really, really matters. And again, there is this attitude that you can make up for lack of dosage by doing more sessions. And that is not the way it works. Yes, hyperbaric does have some cumulative benefits. I did a video where I talk about dosage, duration, frequency, and series. So yes, there is a little bit to putting this protocol together. But in a lot of cases, if the dosage is inappropriate, there is no opportunity for efficacy. And very often, the venture capitalist volume wellness model doesn't care. It's about bodies in the chamber, and whether or not they get results, they're not promising any, and they're constantly attracting new clients as opposed to generating long-term relationships with their clients like we do here. Again, a little different perspective on it. So I hope it gave that a little awareness. I hope that gave you an opportunity to ask some better questions. Now, what I would encourage you is to please call our facility. If you're interested in hyperbaric oxygen therapy, please call our facility and schedule a complimentary facility tour. Come on in, take a look at our dive floor, get to meet our staff, look at our changing room, take a look at some of the other services that we offer here, like targeted supplementation with quantum nutrition testing and detox foot baths. We have a whole process here to get you moving forward in your health naturally and address those symptoms. Actually get to address the underlying root causes and forget those symptoms, get those symptoms to resolve, and get you feeling better. We're located on Commercial Boulevard. So before you make a decision about a hyperbaric facility, if you haven't come and looked at an ANDI certified hyperbaric facility, you need to. There's a big difference. We've got an awful lot of equipment on the floor, and you need something to compare it to. Now, again, we are unique. We are the first and only holistic hyperbaric center of its kind. I was the first in the world to combine quantum nutrition testing, a form of targeted supplementation, with hyperbaric oxygen therapy to create optimal outcomes. Oxygen is the primary component, but it is not the only component. Our body very often needs additional nutrition in order to detox and heal and repair naturally. So if you are struggling, I encourage you to reach out to our facility and schedule our signature comprehensive consult. It's an extensive two-part appointment consultation. We're going to take a full medical history. We're going to do a non-invasive wellness scan, and then we're going to give you a written report of findings that will tell you everything that we found, more importantly, how we're going to fix it, and all of the costs that are associated with it. So whether you're just looking to do a little hyperbaric oxygen therapy for an elective post-surgical procedure, or you're dealing with a chronic condition, or maybe you're looking for some performance enhancement or some longevity, we have an awful lot to help you with. Again, we offer personalized programs here. And again, that's another point about it. We offer personalized programs. There are no two people that are exactly the same. We are unique. Our DNA is unique. Each one of us is made in the image of God, and we need a personalized approach to help us meet our goals. And this is one of the things that we do here, and we will hold your hand every step of the way. So if you're struggling with symptoms, if you're lost, if you are just looking to be healthier, we live in a really toxic world. They're definitely making it hard for us to stay healthy. Maybe we need some natural detoxification. Maybe you've been having trouble sleeping. Again, whether it's just a small symptom or some serious chronic condition that's dramatically interfering in your life, an injury, an accident, we offer personalized programs in order to help you rebalance your health naturally. So again, I hope I gave you a little bit of an overview and some good information on making informed decisions. Now, again, we do these every Monday, and there is a great archive of our videos on our YouTube channel. Again, our YouTube channel is Hyperbarics RX. And if you have some questions, please feel free to reach out to us. Again, I look forward to seeing everybody next Monday. Again, my name is Laura Betts. Hyperbarics RX is my facility. Hyperbaric oxygen therapy is my passion. And I would love to take my 35 years of knowledge and experience and apply it to your individual complaint and get you feeling better, get you moving forward in your health naturally. Some of you know me as the Oxygen Lady, and that is one of the things that I am as well. So again, for tonight, this is the Oxygen Lady signing out, and I look forward to seeing everybody next week on our video. Again, great to see everybody. Welcome, welcome. And please give us a call at Hyperbarics RX. Our number is 954-749-9998. Schedule that appointment. If you're listening to this, this is your sign. It's time to take back your health, and we'd love to hold your hand and help you do that. Have a great night, everybody.